Thank you. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me see this. First, I would like to clarify where Ecuador is located, because in the program it's located in Central America. We are in South America, and some a few details. We have the Galapagos Island, maybe are known by everybody. Population 60 million, and our GDP is growing, projected for 2015, 4.3%. Ecuador's e-government, we take notice about e-government 20 years ago. What happened? Almost nothing, just few individual initiatives. 5 years later, some formal development started with few projects, few government projects, but not any strategical direction yet. 2007, a policy was issued to incentivize the use of TICs, not necessarily going to e-government, was initiative to use TICs and deliver services in the public institutions. The government didn't have at that time any basic inventory of the resources, so the lack of additional regulation diverted the resources mainly to buy additional platform, hardware and software platforms. By that time, many services were already implemented, as the previous speaker said, taxes, customs, social security, which are the services oriented to recover money, those are the first one implemented. Just in 2013, a strategic plan was announced. The plan already considered an inventory of all the projects that are going to be delivered until the year 2017, which is the end of the present government. The plan is based in the UN directions, and there's nothing unusual there. I would like to talk about the problems. I don't want to get into details about the strategic and so on, things about the plan, because I think almost all the plans have the same thing. But I would like to talk instead of the problems that we're facing now. Internet penetration, of course, by the time we were starting we were very delayed in the implementation of a new network. I think we are in the process to solve this. The institutional readiness to provide online services. So, of course, we didn't have enough and adequate infrastructure. We have a lot of hardware and software. We didn't have the adequate infrastructure, which is different. Human resources. Now we have for very specific positions, high technical positions. We are competing with the private sector. We are offering good salaries and good alternatives for training. Even we have a good scholarship program through which we are sending our students all over the world. The digital divide, of course, it's still a big problem for us because the technology is not available for everybody. So we are trying to solve this by creating community info centers all over the world. And through the same centers, we are providing specific training to allow the people, to give the people the chance to get into the info center and start using and communicating with the government. That's good news. Now, what challenge? We're Latins, but our big challenge now is the implementation of our plan. I don't foresee any problem with this because there's a very high level commitment at president's level. We're focused, of course, on eliminating unnecessary bureaucratic procedures. And there's a special program already called Tramiton, which allows the people, the citizen, to raise claims about the quality of the services. And every week, the president, in his weekly speech to the citizens, he asked for the solution to the institution responsible for the service. The challenge is our plan implementation. As I said, we have full support from higher level management to the presidency. And this program in place through which you can raise a claim, and later on the president will ask the institution responsible for the problem to give the solution. This is done public in the public audition in TV. Of course, we are trying to reduce the cost of our central administration, because, like everywhere, citizens are questioning the cost of the bureaucracy. Unfortunately, e-government is not a desire anymore. It is a competitive factor for the countries. To give you an example, just to create a company used to take 4, 5, 6 months in my country. Now it will take 4 hours, so we're improving. There's a big challenge now, is the implementation of the country cloud. We are implementing 2 big modular tier 3 compute centers, where all the public institutions are going to migrate it. It's 140 institutions, and that means almost 1,500 applications that will be moved to this administration, central administration. It's a big challenge, and of course, there is a big risk. However, I think one of the biggest risks in this change is the behavior of the human resources. They think they are losing power because we're moving away from their compute centers. So we have to deal with that problem, and I think that will create some additional problems for us, because many jobs are going away. And of course, seen from the other side, the maturity of the cloud organization to deliver the service level agreements committed is also a big risk. To have 140 institutions to administer that service is a real challenge. Which is our future? It's tied to our success in solving the problems, to solve the internet penetration, the digital divide, the development, the quality of human resources, cloud implementation. However, we have now a new critical factor, which is the need to implement information management disciplines as a complete project, because governments are not immune to the data quality, and the problems that the world is facing in terms of managing the data quality, availability, and accessibility. So evolution of e-government will depend on how good we will manage our data. Open government is online managed services and new products that have to be included in our plan. And as we're understood, but both are interdependent. So we have good data, we have good open government. I talk about quality of data. I made a brief analysis about the efforts, what we were wasting in doing data quality, and I found that almost 2% of our analysts in the central administration, just the central administration, spend 100% of their time in searching for data and cleaning the data for the jobs. That means 3,600 person years. So just this number justifies any project related with clean data. Based on the data life cycle, I decided to, and I say I because it was my initiative. I used to work for as a president advisor. It was my initiative to make to define a data quality model for the entire government, to define the ownership in every institution, and through an initial evaluation of the quality, reviewing the system used to capture, detect, and correct errors, business rules, latency, steward assignment, and governability. The objective was to publish at the end of this study a quality indicator from each institution and give the benefits of, to the user to evaluate the risk to use the data they needed, knowing exactly which is the level of quality of the data they were using. Unfortunately, the project failed. Why? Not because it was not feasible to do it, but management is reluctant to be exposed. My error was to say that I was going to publish a quality data indicator. The good news, however, there's a new government institution which is doing what I was trying to do. It's the National Direction of Public Data and Register, which keeps a copy of the databases and also is trying to get into the data cleaning before accepting the data in their premises. They also develop a system to allow the citizens to validate their own data. So any citizen can call the institution or can connect through internet and ask the correction of any data, personal data, that is not correct. Of course, the access to this data is done by strict legal regulations. In summary, high-level support required to attend a solid information management system. I learned that. Quality, opportunity, availability, accessibility. Information management, from my point of view, is the main challenge, but not easy to be accepted by the bureaucratic world. Now I would like to talk about the judicial system. Now I'm working for the judiciary. When I start to work with lawyers, I really think it's a different world. So I found that the functionality required is not quite different from any other public services. Not because of the technology, but because of the user behavior. Internal and external users, they have external. Thus, all technology is applicable. But yes, the justice system has its own peculiarities. First of all, the final user is not interested in approach to the system. Usually, we are going to the justice system when we are in trouble. Most of us are begging not to be in trouble, so we will never approach to the judicial system. Have to be flexible because you have to deal with different types of users, like lawyers, delinquents, policemen, ordinary people. Cross boundaries because they need to interact between each other to have the right information, right data at the right time. The internal users in the judiciary are not willing to accept new technologies. They see as engineering tools, not friendly for them. Even though they are generating the biggest volumes of data. To give you an example, we're generating something like 8 million pages per month. I think also the lack of opportunity of the tools oriented to this type of users creates this rejection to the technology. You see, recently we're using semantic models, that type of things, which are more friendly for the user of the judicial system. Now, the concept of independence of the justice is sensitive and has to be considered in every process. But as any public service, have to be evaluated, so we need data. In this process, we have two types of data. The data generated by the process, it's the supporting process, and the information, the data that you get from the sentences of the judge. The first data is clearly available through the processes. and you can validate. However, the second information, the one that comes out from the judges, it's a bit complicated because you have to be careful to not interfere with the independence of the justice. We have to make a qualitative and quantitative evaluation. The qualitative is done by the supporting processes, the quantitative based from the judge's sentences. In this regard, there's a big discussion, world discussion about which information, which parameters has to be used in order to do this quantitative evaluation. To give you an example about the use of technology, some in the US and some European countries, they're using new technology, semantic and predictive tools in the core of the process of the judicial system, and as well as the supporting process. In the UK, you have three systems. The CPC, Crime Production Center, which helps to prepare all the documentation to the trials. The Money Claim Online, which is an easy way if you want to recover your money for a loan. The Possession Claim Online includes the possession for residential properties. In the US, there is a system called JustStat, which caught my attention. It's developed by a private attorney office. They are using predictive tools to know and balance the cost of the tools, of the trial. It's interesting because when a user approaches to this office, they can tell the user how long will take the trial, how much will cost the trial, and which are the opportunities to win the trial he has, depending on the judge to whom is assigned the cause. So they know in advance the cause of the trial, knows the possibilities to win the case, helps to expedite the legal processes, of course avoid manipulation, less operating costs for sure, because they can negotiate before jumping into the trial. There's a big risk with this. If we see this from government point of view, the risk is that we are using predictive models and we can be violating the individual rights, privacy. The NSA in the US have been questioned because of this. In Latin America, we are now in the process to go into the electronic file for the trials. There's not a common definition yet. In the case of Ecuador, however, we are adjusting our organization, including data management professionals in the judiciary. For the first time, we're having a lot of engineers working with lawyers. We have a geometric department responsible for information management. And we found that there is a huge number of alternatives to improve the judiciary system using text, but the right and clean data it's mandatory. Information management, from our point of view, must be considered an umbrella project, mandatory to implement the government. The main objective is now redefine the role of the court, not only to search the improvement of the processes, but to use the information to evaluate the impact of the decision before and after they are taken in order to help to improve the entire judicial system. We're talking now about before and after the decisions. Thank you.
This is the government itself from Ecuador who's developing with public money. I mean,
public money.
Public money.
Yes.
There's no private money inside. No. Okay. Okay. Especially for justice, we can understand, but for the rest, could be. It
could be private or public. In the case of the judicial system, the judiciary is developing all the systems and all the platforms.
Okay. And it's a central government or also at the local government?
For the strategic plan, you have basically the central government, and the local governments are trying to follow the direction of the central government. However, they have different budgets. The central government would take care only of those central services.
Thank you. There is a question from the audience. You mentioned you started with IT implementation in government 20 years ago. What is your vision for next 20 years?
Interesting question. First of all, I will not live by that time. It's okay. My vision is that we will have first the platform as a utility, of course, the mobile services. The biggest problem we will still have is handling our data, because IoT, machine to machine, means billions of data. We know big data is a big GDP factor for growing in the United States. So I think we will be still dealing with huge amounts of data and trying to understand what to do with that. I don't think that we are going to solve that in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.